and welcome to Inside Outlook. I'm Jeff Havers, Superintendent of Pemberton Township Schools. As we prepare for the next school year, today I'm pleased to share a 2025-2026 budget with you. I believe this presentation will give you a better understanding of the many factors that determine funding in our school district and demonstrate how that money is allocated. With me today is Business Administrator Pat Yacovelli, who will share his budget presentation with us. Welcome, Mr. Yacovelli.
Good morning, Mr. Havers. I'm pleased to be here today and ask that you follow my presentation on the 2025-2026 Pemberton Township School District budget.
Excellent.
So we will see some important dates in the budget calendar. February 27th, state aid figures were released to all school districts in New Jersey. Last Thursday, the Board of Education approved the preliminary budget, and last Friday on the 21st, the preliminary budget was submitted to the County Superintendent's office. The next important date for us is April 30th, where we will have the public hearing for approval of the final 2025-2026 budget. We're going to take a look at some revenues in the budget. I'll be talking about the adequacy budget, the tax levy, the local fair share. We'll also discuss banked cap, and then lastly, we'll take a look at our revenue summary. So the adequacy budget, when we get our state aid notices, we have an adequacy budget in those notices. And essentially for every school district in New Jersey, the state calculates what would be the necessary funding level to provide a thorough and efficient education, also known as T&E, to every pupil in the district. This calculated amount is known as the adequacy budget. For 2025-2026, the adequacy budget in our state aid notice is $93,674,290. Our next slide here shows that the District of Pemberton is spending $7,250,080 below adequacy. And this page is derived directly from the state's budget software. For our local tax levy, there's a calculation in the state aid formula called local fair share. And essentially it is how much a district can afford to contribute toward the adequacy budget. It compares equalized value and aggregate income, and these factors do change from year to year. The tax levy, the local share calculation, is in our state aid notice, and for the township and the borough, we see the equalized value calculation and the district income calculation, and we arrive at a local fair share for the township of $32,352,355, and for the borough, a local fair share of $2,134,967. And we want to add those two numbers together to arrive at a total local fair share of $34,487,322. So taking that amount, we want to compare it to the district's tax levy. For 2025-2026, we have a tax levy amount of $26,227,995, and we are still below the local fair share by $8,259,327. What does this mean for the taxpayers of Pemberton Township and Pemberton Borough? Based on an average 2024 assessment of $165,053, the local school tax will be $2,645, and this represents an increase of $228. On a monthly basis, it's right around $19. For the borough, on an average assessed property of $186,777, the local school tax will be $2,899, representing an increase of $117, just under $10 per month. Banked cap. Banked cap is a calculation of unused taxing authority that a district has available to it, and it takes into account certain adjustments to the tax levy cap One of those which the district is eligible for is our increase in healthcare costs. The increase in healthcare costs has added to our tax levy, and the unused portion is what's known as banked cap. So we have some banked cap that was generated in the 2023-2024 budget, and we also have banked cap that was generated in 2024-2025. Some of the banked cap will be used in the 2025-2026 budget, which will leave a balance of $4,157,977 available for future year budgets. I'm excited to talk about capital projects that we have in the budget. For the high school, a total of $349,350, which will include replacement of various stair treads, the B section hot water heater and boiler, HVAC rooftop unit for the culinary arts program, and bathroom partitions for 9 bathrooms. At Helen Fort Middle School, we have a total of $370,663 for HVAC for 15 classrooms. At Newcomb, we have $490,000 being budgeted for unit ventilators for 17 classrooms. Buzansky, we have $408,595 budgeted for the roof replacement for the gymnasium and also floor tile replacement for the gymnasium. At Haynes, we will be replacing the pumps for the boiler, and we have budgeted $130,000. Fort Dix, we've budgeted $55,000 to replace the walk-in freezer for the food services program. And then district-wide, we have budgeted $240,000 for various water fountain replacements, interior door replacements, and classroom floor tile replacements. And lastly, we will be replacing some aging equipment, a 2004 truck for the Buildings and Grounds Department, and a 2007 dump truck also for the Buildings and Grounds Department. And we're replacing commercial lawnmowers, so we've budgeted $204,000 for those 3 items. We'll take a look now at our revenue summary, starting with our general fund local revenues. We have an increase in our anticipated fund balance of $2,170,671. We are not anticipating any withdrawals from the district's reserves. We have our increase in the local tax levy, and then other miscellaneous items such as interest income, refunds that come into the district. So we have a total local revenue of $37,910,791. Moving on to our state and federal aid. The state aid formula removed the adjustment aid and consolidated it into our total state aid number, $73,218,876 in state aid. Our Special Education Medicaid Initiative revenue, also known as SEMI, all districts in the state have received a decrease in the projected revenues for the SEMI program. We're also anticipating a minor decrease in the federal impact aid of $1,371,976 that is expected to be received. So our state and federal revenue totals $74,631,494. With respect to our special revenue fund, our preschool adjustment aid, we have a minor decrease, which is attributed to less amount of carryover being budgeted in the 2025-26 year. Our transfers to pre-K represents the special education portion of the preschool program. And we've also been advised by the Department of Education to anticipate less federal funding as we are unsure of grants that are being funded at the federal level. Our total special revenue fund totals $13,021,073. So when we take those 3 items combined, our local revenues, our state and federal revenues, and our special revenue, we have a total budget of $125,500,000 $563,358. This represents an increase to our current year of $4,483,332. Some savings that we see in the 2025-2026 budget. We are anticipating an amount of $255,867 through breakage, and breakage is defined as the difference in salary of a budgeted staff versus the higher salary staff that they replaced who may have retired or resigned from the district. The board action that was approved at last Thursday's meeting was to approve the 2025-2026 preliminary budget in the amount of $125,563,358 with a proposed total tax levy of $26,227,995 for submission to the Executive County Superintendent's Office. Our next steps from here. So now that the budget has been submitted to the County Superintendent's Office, they will review it, and if they return any comments or suggestions, they will be discussed with the Finance Committee on April 8th. And the last step will be the public hearing on the budget, scheduled for April 30th, where the final budget will be presented for approval. We also have some recent news that from the Department of Education. There's been funding in the governor's budget address that was called Tax Levy Incentive Aid. It is a one-year incentive program unless it becomes law. Up to $1 million is available for districts that are under adequacy and raising taxes over 2% to get to their local fair share. There are hundreds of districts that are eligible, so we may end up receiving much less money. We don't know what those additional requirements are, and there's very few details that have been presented at this point from the Department of Education.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yacovelli.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Havers.
We are very fortunate to receive additional funding this year, and I'm grateful to the legislators who heard our call for action. I appreciate the support of Senator Latham Tyver, Senator Vingo Powell, Assemblywoman Andrea Katz, and Assemblyman Michael Teresi Jr., and thank them for advocating for fair funding for our schools. If you would like to see the budget presentation in person, everyone is invited to attend the public budget hearing, which will take place Wednesday, April 30th at 6:30 p.m. in the Helen Fort Middle School auditorium. That's our show for today, and I look forward to seeing you next time on Inside Outlook.